Alright, so without further ado, let's take it over from where we left it in the previous stream. So, to actually recapitulate or to review what we've done previously, I have the very simple notepad here. So the purpose of this live stream and of these two videos is to actually build a web application that is going to summarize text using a machine learning language model. So in this case, we use Streamlit to actually very fast build the web application in Python, so we don't actually have to struggle with all the intricacies of developing or of development, because Streamlit actually lets you deploy an app extremely fast. And as I said in the live stream of yesterday, I'm also learning this along the way. So I'm learning as I teach, or I teach as I learn, which is one of the best ways to learn. So because we have the entire documentation at our fingertips, I can just do this on the go. So we use the Streamlit framework to actually build the web application extremely fast. As you can see, this is the web application. And we use Huggingface, which is another platform that actually, in my view, I think it aggregates models. It aggregates AI models. If we go to models at Huggingface, we can see that there are actually thousands of models, and these models are actually some of them are neural networks, some of them are different models that have been trained by companies with a lot of money on a lot of data, and they give us the already trained models so we can just use them in our machine learning or our AI projects. And we can see that we can so please excuse the background noise, but I cannot control how my neighbors are actually fixing their walls and stuff like that. So we are able to actually filter these models by the number of downloads, alphabetical or recently updated, and by task. Summarization, in this case, this is exactly what we're going to use, by libraries, PyTorch, TensorFlow, and 9 others, and also by data sets. So some of these models have been trained on the entire Wikipedia, on Common Voice, and book corpus. This is something really interesting that we might be going on in future videos or future live streams. But for now, I just want you to know that we have models and data sets on Huggingface, and these are completely free. Like, for example, one of these pre-trained model that we can use in our projects, we can take this, for example, BERT based on case, and the entire model, the checkpoint, the pre-trained model is like 2 gigs of RAM. Not of RAM, but 2 gigs of 2 gigabytes, for example. So we can take this and use it in our projects. Now let me just put it here, and also we have the docs, the Streamlit documentation. Okay, so hey Harsh, what's going on? Can you hear me? And let the others speak. Hello everyone. Say hello in the chats. Okay, so what I was saying, I was saying that, let me just get back to where we were. I was saying that we use Streamlit to build the application very fast, and that's extremely easy, and you're gonna see it immediately. And then we use Huggingface to get the machine learning onto our data. So to reiterate from last time, we just do pip install Streamlit if we don't have it, and then pip install transformers. Now that's actually what we did in the previous session, But I've experimented and I've played a lot with this yesterday, so I'm thinking of doing something else. In this case, I'm going to delete this entire thing, and I have the code that I've come up with after a lot of trial and error yesterday. So we're actually going to rewrite this code again in our application as we would have been writing it from scratch. And this code is actually all that it takes to have an application like this, where we can just input an entire text that you want to summarize. So this is the Streamlit application. You input the text in here and then click on do the magic, and it's going to summarize it for you. So this is actually really nice. It's really customizable, and there's a lot of stuff to do with Streamlit, and it's also really clean. So we can, I think, where was it? We can just do the wide mode. We can customize the theme. Like for example, the edit active theme. We can change the font family. We can change the text color, the primary color. But anyway, maybe we'll get into the Streamlit customization in the future. What I want to say is that with Streamlit we can use we can build also all sorts of web applications, not only machine learning applications, but all sorts of applications. So I personally am extremely excited about Streamlit, and I'm glad that every time I get bored of doing cybersecurity stuff, like working on projects, penetration tests, and bug bounty stuff, I can devote a lot of my time into this machine learning, which is something that I started like 6 years ago in 2015 or so. And I've done hundreds of videos on my YouTube channel and also courses on Udemy about machine learning stuff, but I've left it aside for a while because I was very focused on cybersecurity, and I'm really glad that I got back into it, because there is a lot of fascinating stuff in this field. So without further ado, yesterday we used I think it was the BART. So let's go for summarization. I think it was the BART large CNN. And what we did with this, let me just open it in another window. Okay, what we did with this BART, let's see, model cards. Where is the documentation? It might be in here. Let's see, BART. I think in the previous video we used we started with BART for summarization, and we just created this, and then articles to summarize. But after experimentation, I decided that instead of going with this approach by taking the model itself, I would actually go with the pipelines. So pipelines are much faster than actually taking a model and applying it to whatever stuff it was optimized for. So in this case, with pipelines, we can simply do whatever we want to do in 3 or 4 lines of code. And there are pipelines for conversation, like if you want to build a conversation bot, we might get into this in the future, for feature extraction, question answer, summarization, and this is exactly what we're gonna look into today. This is exactly what we're gonna do. There's also for text classification, for text generation, and when it comes to text generation, you give it a sentence and maybe it outputs you an entire article or stuff like that. That would be interesting to actually have a like a model or an algorithm or a script or a web application that you just input something that you want it to write for you, and it's going to write an entire article. And come to think of it, you could write entire books like that. So think about making money. There's also zero-shot classification and text-to-text generation. I haven't gone too much in depth into these, but I'm really interested into doing that. So now let's look into the summarization pipeline, which is what we're actually going to do here. So in summarization, we can just give it some text, like in this case, this part of this blog post that was recently posted on Threadpost. We can just give it text, and then we'll have it summarize it in here. So where's the summarization pipeline? It should be further down here, or not. Maybe we've already passed it. Summarization. So summarization in just 2 lines of freaking code. Okay, this is using PyTorch, and this is using TensorFlow. T5 in PyTorch and BART in T5 in TensorFlow and BART in PyTorch. So as far as I've understood, the summarization pipeline only works with a couple of models, as far as I've understood, and maybe someone can correct me if I'm wrong. It works with the BART large CNN, which is this one. If we look into this, so for the TF model is 1.5 gigs, and for the PyTorch model is also 1.5 gigs. So this is actually the pre-trained model, and it's going to be used in our example. So it uses the BART large CNN or the T5 small, base large, or 3 billion or 11 billion. So we can use either of these in here when specifying the model and the tokenizer if we want to specify. If we don't specify any of these, which I believe are additional parameters, I'm not exactly sure which one it takes. Maybe it takes the BART large one, but that's something that's that can be seen by actually calling the pipeline summarization without any of these parameters. But and we can also experiment with each one to see exactly how well it summarizes the text. But in our case here, I want to do the we'll be doing the BART large CNN one, and when you run this for the first time, so when you save the code and run it for the first time, it's actually going to download the model from Huggingface. And so it's going to download the 1.5 or 2 gigabytes, the model, and that's probably going to take, I don't know, some minutes, depending on how fast your internet connection is. Okay, now let's do this. So as you can see, 2 lines of freaking code, which is it's mind-boggling what you can do. Let's just start rewriting this code in here. Now I want to make sure that the live stream is still going. Okay, so Harsh, what do you think so far? Do you understand what I'm talking about here? I want to point out a very good just let me know if the connection comes through like really well. I want to point out a very good resource if you're just going into this. So look into the Free Code Camp channel and look into this build 12 data science app with Python and Streamlit. So let's skip this ad.
Course on how to build Python with Streamlit.
So this is actually going to be extremely helpful for anyone that's new to Streamlit, to Hugging Faces, and to everything that has to do with data science. So it's 3 hours and 11 minutes, and it's well worth, because, and you can also follow the Python engineer, you can also follow the data professor. So this is his channel, Data Professor. You can look him up on YouTube, and you can also watch this entire 12 science data apps with Python and Streamlit, so that you can get on par with what I'm actually going to do here. Okay. All right, now let's write code. So first off, we're going to import Streamlit as st. Okay. And then we don't actually have to import pandas and numpy, because we don't need either pandas and numpy. So we're just in this case, so we're just gonna import the pipeline from transformers. So as you've seen here, we're using the pipeline, and in this case we're gonna use the summarization pipeline. So from, or I can just do it here, from transformers we're gonna import pipeline. Okay. And then we can just work on to the Streamlit. We can just do st-write tldr iser, and in this case it actually uses the markdown language, or the markdown. I think it's markdown. So we can just do st-title tldr iser. And now we can save this and actually look into our application. So let me just Control C here, CLS. So I am on the directory where the tldr.py is. Now to run this, if I just hit refresh, it's not gonna find it. So to run this, after Streamlit has been installed, Streamlit run tldr.py, and now it's going to run the application localhost on 8501. If we just refresh here, we have the tldrizer. Okay. Alright, so that's our title, but we can also use Streamlit to write, and in this case we write it with markdown or markdown I guess. Let's see, because there is also another method. Yeah, it's markdown. So streamlit.write, we can do a markdown tldr iser, and then if we look here, it's gonna always, let's do always rerun, and it's actually basically the same thing, but in this case if we do 2 of these, save it, as you can see it's changed. I think I have like better control when I use the markdown in this case. So we have the title. Now what we want to do next is to have a text box that's going to take the input of what we want our machine learning model to summarize. So in this case we can look into the documentation for, let's see, Is it in the ABI reference? Display text. You have a text, and you also, so you have the markdown, it explains how it is. You also have, you should have a text box somewhere in here. Let's go for it. Which was the one that I used? Text area. So text area. We have the text area. This is what we want to create for our input. Here we want to create a text area. In this case, what we're going to do first, we're going to instantiate a variable called article. So just say article equals st text area, and then we want to specify the label, or sort of like a guiding text. Now in this case we can say text to be summarized, and then we can also specify, if we want, so these are optional parameters: height, max characters, key help, value. This is the value that's gonna take as an identifier, but we don't need to specify that. I think we can also specify the width, or not. We cannot specify the width, only the height. If we specify the height, I think it was 400. What did I use here? So 200. 200. Now if we save this, we already have it in here, nice and clean. Text to be summarized and width. And I want to remind you that once we have this running locally, we can deploy it to GitHub, and when it's deployed to GitHub, we can also deploy it to Streamlit share. So it's on share, gallery, Streamlit. We can also deploy it here so anyone can use it inside this gallery. So that's exactly what I'm going to do after I finish this one, because after I finish this very simple application, I want to focus on other applications, such as maybe for computer vision, or maybe for conversation, and then have them published here, where at this point in time are all free. And you can also view the source code on GitHub, and you can also actually access them for free in here. So anyone can access them for free, which is really nice at this point. But from my understanding, Streamlit is only in its beginning, and my experience with these companies is that they start free, and then they actually at some point implement some sort of a pricing, and then they become less ethical. And I really hope that Streamlit is not one of those companies. Okay, so yeah, that's the vision for the future. But for now, let's actually focus on building this. So we have the article in here, and that's exactly the very basic of it. What we want now, so once we paste our article in here, so let's say we paste, I don't know, part of this. Let's say we take from here and then paste it in here. We want to have a button that's gonna do, so a button right here that's gonna do all the magic. And with that, and with my neighbors breaking the walls, we want to create the button. So that's as easily as you can just do st.button, but we use an if statement That's actually going to mean, so if st button do the magic, that actually means that if the button is pressed, do this. So we can simply do if streamlit.button, and then we give the label of the button, so let's say do the magic to be consistent. We can just say pass. So we have nothing in here. We can just click the button and have nothing. So let me save this, and we have the button. If I click the button, nothing happens, but the button looks really nice. Okay, now instead of pass, here is where we will instantiate, we will start working on the machine learning aspect of our application. And in this case, we just take the summarizer, we just instantiate a summarization pipeline using the bar large CNN model, and we specify the framework TensorFlow. So let's actually go back into the documentation, and it seems that the BART is actually it actually uses the PyTorch. So it may be wise if I just, so in this case I think I'm answering the question that I previously said. If we do not specify anything in here, so if we just specify the summarization, it's going to take the BART large CNN as default. And what I did, and I might have done it wrong, is that I've specified the BART with the TensorFlow framework, which might not have been provided the best results. So let's actually do something else here. So we instantiate a summarizer, okay, and then we do the summarization. So we do not summarizer but pipeline, and then we do summarization, and we do not specify anything in here. Let's see. If not provided the default configuration, it doesn't say, but I'm curious. So we don't specify anything. We just say summarization. We don't specify the model. Hopefully it's going to take the BART large CNN and do not download another model. And the framework is going to be PyTorch. And now after we've instantiated the summarization pipeline, we want to actually have an output, like I've said in here, output equals, in this case, the summarizer. So here is where all the processing is going. So we do the summarizer. This is where all the magic happens. Summarizer article. So this is going to summarize, is going to use the model, the machine learning model, BART large CNN, and summarize the article. And we can also provide additional parameters like the minimum length of the output to be, let's say, minimum length 50, and then we can also specify max length to be 90. And then once this is completed, we want to do the st.write to actually see the output, and the output is going to be in the form of JSON, and we need to take the first key of the JSON and then the summary text, if I am correct. So we can specify the minimum length, the maximum length, st.write output 0 summary text. Okay. Now we save this, and then when the application, so it's not loaded because I didn't press the button. So right now the only thing that changed is what happens when you press the button. So if I press this button, it's going to start doing the entire magic, and this will probably take a little bit of time, because before it was just the pass, and when we clicked the do the magic, nothing happened. But now that I've changed what happens when you click the button, it's going to do this entire instantiation of the model, and then the entire processing of the article that we've pasted in the text area. So now I'm pushing the do the magic, and as you can see, it says running, and now as you can see here, it actually starts downloading one of the models. I'm not exactly sure what is it downloading here, but it's 1.22 gigs. So this might be the BART large CNN. So use BART in PyTorch. But none of these are like 1.2 gigs. I'm not quite sure which one of them. Maybe this one. Or not. Facebook has quite a few of models in here, so the company can do something good, as you can see. So it trains these models on millions of dollars, and it gives it back to us to actually leverage it in our projects. And that's good. That's a good thing. Gonna take a little while, but not that much. Maybe in 1 or 2 minutes it's done downloading the model, and then the processing is gonna take anywhere between 20 to 30 seconds per run. This can be made more efficient by using other models that seem to be quite as fast, with slight decrease in efficiency. Now, in the meanwhile, how's the connection coming along? Let me know. Also, if you have questions, I'm all ears. Because we're probably gonna finish this in maybe less than 10 minutes, and that's really good. Let's see. Still downloading. Come on. In the meantime, I would say that there is, it might have a little bit of lag because it's also downloading. And that might cause a little bit of a latency. One of the paths how to learn machine learning path 2021. It should be by Daniel Bork. This one. So 2020 Machine Learning Roadmap by Daniel Bork.
Are you concerned about the current...
I don't have YouTube Premium on World of X channel, but I have YouTube Premium on my other Christy Vlad account. So Daniel Burke, make sure to watch this video, Machine Learning Roadmap. This is quite extensive, and I'm not really sure that you need all of these. You can look at, so this is the mind map. I think it had a GitHub as well. Yeah, this is the GitHub. So this is the roadmap. Let's see the full interactive version. I think Daniel Burke had a blog post as well, which is exactly what I'm actually looking for, not the mind map. Yeah, this is a little bit humbling. Let's see if we look for machine learning roadmap. Daniel Burke. It was a blog post. Accompanying slides. Machine learning roadmap. Well, I think you can just watch the video and it's gonna talk about, as you can see, classification, regression, tools, and I believe that at some point it's going to specify the resources, like data school in this case, what's a confusion matrix, does it have the resources in here? Resources, the resources are on, it says that they are in here, but where are the resources? Maybe they are in here in the keynote. Regardless, our model is like a couple of seconds from downloading. Anyway, make sure to watch this. Or I could just download it. Harsh, you're saying you messaged me on Twitter. Give me your Twitter handle because I didn't get any message on Twitter. So post your Twitter handler in there. Okay, so we have this still running. Now here's the roadmap. Interesting. Yeah, this is not too insightful. This is what I was looking for. You have the courses, books, when it comes to math, what you should learn. Yeah, definitely make sure to check this one. This is Trello. So we have a Trello board with all these nice thingies. Now here's our web application in its prime. So as you can see, the entire thing has been ran, and we have our summary. Okay, so definitely Daniel Bork, look into this. This is very insightful. I might be looking into this as well, and I might be posting about it, so I'm just pinning it in here for future references. Yeah. Okay, we've got your handler twiddle handle. Now we had our summary text, so it took a little while until it downloaded, but then the entire processing took a few seconds. And in this case, after clicking to do the magic, we have the summary as we have asked for it. The minimum length 50, maximum length 90. If you use a different approach compared other than the pipeline and the summarization, you will have much more degrees of freedom when it comes to the parameters that you can control and fine-tune, so to actually get the best type of summary possible. To be completely honest, I haven't actually played a lot with fine-tuning, but I'm really sure that you can get amazing results if you take one specific model from here and actually see how it works and see what parameters that you can fine-tune and add into your project and application. But what I want to say is that this is as easy as 10 lines of Python code. So we have a text that's this length, and it actually starts with the first sentence, but it doesn't copy it like word by word. Researchers described a recent incident they observed in which a victim in the financial industry, and that's where it stops. In the financial industry was searching for a free version of document online, so it skips this and says was redirected via Google search to a Google Sites page controlled by threat actors that included an embedded download button. And then it says financial industry workers. So it probably reads this. Where is that? Financial industry workers would be a high-value target of the campaign, researchers said. Damn. This is amazing. Wow. So indeed, a person working in the financial industry would be a high-value target of the campaign, giving attackers various methods to compromise an organization and commit cyber crimes, researcher noted. So it actually takes this paragraph and it paraphrases it. Financial industry workers. So a person working in the financial industry workers would be a high-value target of the campaign, researchers said. Researchers noted. Researchers said. Okay, I am completely blown away. Seriously. I am completely blown away, and I'm just going to leave it here. Let's take another text and see how long it takes to actually summarize it. Now we do the magic and we see it's running. So 1, 2, 3 seconds. It's running in here. Let's see how long it's going to take. But I am completely blown away. So it took about 15 to 20 seconds. And we got our summary. Alright, I guess there's not much to say in here other than that I am completely blown away. And I think this actually concludes our 10 lines of Python code, AI next level, extremely simplistic web application written using the amazing power of Streamlit and the amazing power of Huggingfaces. Now what I'm going to be doing next is to be posting this application on my GitHub, make the code available on GitHub, and then be posting it into the gallery on Streamlit so that anyone can use it. Because I mean, this is like 10 lines of code, but in all honesty, that there are people that actually have built businesses upon this stuff in the recent couple of months. So as I've shown you yesterday, tldr.ai app, and you can see article summarizer and online text summarization. This is probably very similar to what I'm doing here, and then they actually give you a glimpse into how to use it. Maybe they had a feature to actually extract the article, and that wouldn't be too hard to write in Python, because you would use Beautiful Soup to actually extract the exact text from a page. You just input the URL, and you would use requests to actually take the entire content of the page, then use Beautiful Soup to parse it, and then you would feed it into the model. And the model is going to give you add a few parameters to the model, and the model is going to give you can tweak it to give you a short version or a detailed version. Now in this case, you would do that by simply modifying the minimum length and the maximum length. That's how I see it. For example, if you do the short concise version, I would say a maximum length of maybe 70, and then if you click on the detail section wise, I would do a minimum length of 200 maybe, and that's going to be more insightful. And yeah, like I've said yesterday, they're actually it's free. They have a starter and they have a professional, but this is definitely a way to do business nowadays. And like as I've shown you with all the pipelines that are possible, you can make an application out of each of these pipelines and then just start making money and getting filthy rich. But for now, I'm going to be posting this for free on my GitHub. Hopefully I'm gonna be able to do that in the next couple of days. So posting it on GitHub where anyone can access it. I mean, you can just screenshot this and then copy the entire text, which is really like simple. It's gonna take like 2 minutes to actually copy it, but I'm going to be posting it on GitHub and then on the gallery of Streamlit. So that is that. Okay. So Harsh and future viewers of this live stream, this actually concludes the live stream. It took like let's see. It took like 51 minutes, and we've actually been able to build an entire application from scratch. It was a lot of small talk, but I think that it helped a lot in better understanding everything what I've explained here. But yeah, I'm actually looking forward to making much more of these types of videos, because not only I'm learning stuff and I'm actually understanding it myself, but I'm also trying to make it more clear for other people that want to learn it. So yeah, with that being said, I will be talking to you soon.